Hello. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do mediation analysis by using the process macro in SPSS. So first of all, please open the sample data set for mediation analysis. So you will see that in this data set, there are three variables: the exposure to role models, entrepreneurial self-efficacy, and entrepreneurial intention. So for this data set, we hypothesize that there will be a positive relationship between exposure to role models to entrepreneurial intention. So the IV will be the exposure to role models. The DV is the entrepreneurial intention, and the entrepreneurial self-efficacy will be the mediator between the relationship of the IV and DV. And more specifically, we have that the IV, the exposure to role models, will possibly lead to entrepreneurial self-efficacy. And then in turn, this mediator will possibly lead to the DV, the entrepreneurial intention. And to do the mediation analysis, we can click from, wait a sec. We will click from the Analyze, Regression, and Process. And so in this new window, we need to specify the IV, the DV, and mediator, right? So the exposure to role models will be the IV, which is the X variable. Self-efficacy will be the mediator. And entrepreneurial intention will be the DV, which is the Y variable. And here, we also need to specify the model number. So how do you know the model number? So to do this, we need to refer to another file, which is this PDF file I sent to you. So in this file, it shows the different types of models that you can test by using this process macro. And you can go through this file and you can find the model that you want to test. So for example, the model we want to test is here, model 4, right? It's a simple mediation model. So what we need to do is select the model number, which is number 4. And then for the confidence intervals, so it's 95 by default, which is something that we don't need to change. And also the number of bootstrap samples, which is 5,000, is okay. And then we go to the options here. So we can select this option, show total effect model, and also standardized effects if you want to compare the coefficients between different paths. So we click continue, and then as our variables are all continuous variables, and we don't need to go to this multi-categorical option. So in this option, if you have any variables which are categorical variable, you can specify the coding system here. As we don't have any categorical variable, we don't need to do this. And then we click OK. And then it will run the result here. And we only need to wait. And here it shows the result. So at the top of this results, we can see that here is a model summary. So it shows that our DV is the entrepreneurial intention, the IV is is the exposure to role models, and the mediator is entrepreneurial self-efficacy, right? And our sample size is 100. And then this part 1. So So for this part, it shows you the regression of the mediator, which is the entrepreneurial self-efficacy on our IV, which is the exposure to role models, right? You need to check is to see the p-value here, which is significant, right? And then the coefficient here. And if you want to see the standardized coefficients, you can see from this part. And then we can scroll down to the next part, which is the part two. And it shows the result of the DV, the entrepreneurial intention on our IV and mediator, right? So this is actually the result of the path B, right? Because the path B is from the mediator, which is a entrepreneurial self-efficacy to the DV, right? And also for the exposure to role models, which is our IV, and to DV. So this path is actually the direct effect, right? Which is the C prime. And from this result, we can see from the p-value, the two paths are both significant, and also the coefficient here, they're both positive. And if you want to see the standardized coefficients, you can check from this part. And then we scroll down to the next part, which shows you the total effect. So the total effect shows the path from our IV, which is the exposure to role models, to our DV, right? Entrepreneurial intention. So we don't have any control variables like the mediator in this model. So this is the total effect. The coefficient here is 0.4225, and it is significant. And then we can see here is the result of the total effect, direct effect, and indirect effect. So in this part, if you want to see whether the mediating effect is significant or not, we can see from this part the indirect effect of X on Y through this mediator entrepreneurial self-efficacy. And the result shows that the effect is 0.2085. And how to see whether it is significant or not, we can see from the confidence interval here. So this is the lower confidence interval, and this is the upper confidence interval. So if you see the 0 is not included in this interval, it means that it is significant. So we can see that 0 is not in this interval, right? So this actually shows that the mediating effect of entrepreneurial self-efficacy is significant. So it means that the entrepreneurial self-efficacy actually plays a significant mediating role in this model.